bringing you up to date on all the action from a busy weekend of women's soccer. This is USL Super League Game Week on SiriusXM FC.
Welcome into Game Week on SiriusXM, joined as always by my co-host, Marion Crowder. I'm Anna Witte. We've got a jam-packed show for you today. We had a lot of firsts in Week 20 in the Super League. We had some national team call-ups we're going to dive into, and Carolina's own Mia Corbin joins the show later on today. But first, a lot of new announcements in USL as a whole, Marion. A lot of exciting things going on, starting with the USL announcing that they are going to launch a men's Division One league that will rival MLS.
What an exciting announcement. First of all, this is a USL Super League show. We know that, but we all operate under the USL umbrella. So
we do.
I felt like, they announced that Thursday, February 13th, right before Valentine's Day. So a little love letter to all the soccer fans out there. And just, Anna, you and I have had a chance to kind of see, obviously with the launch of this league, we get to see the inner workings of what it takes to do something like that, the commitment from everybody at the league. And so just want to give a huge congratulations to the planning that's already happened, and obviously the very, very hard work that is to come to launch this Division One men's professional league. And I started my my pro soccer career, if you will, in the front office of a League One team. USL is a place that I have a lot of love for. And I just wanted to recap really what the intention has been from the USL all along. And it's always to provide more opportunities, not only to the players, but the communities that perhaps aren't reached by some of these blockbuster programs or blockbuster type of teams. And it's exciting news, of course, for our men's side and Mike and Devin and the boys over there. But I also think that it just shows, again, the investment of the USL as a whole. And Anna, you and I, both as players, I think one thing that often gets overlooked is that ability to see where your next step is. And for now, both the men and the women, you can see and envision a whole career for yourself from the youth levels all the way now to the Division One pro on both the men's and the women's side. And I think that is just invaluable as a player to be able to see where your career path could be. So I'm pumped. Congrats to those guys. Very well deserved. Lots of hard work to come though.
Yes, for sure. And a lot of news that will keep you updated as this story develops, but really excited for USL. And they even talked about in a lot of the press releases, Marion, is the fact that there's so much growth for soccer in America. Yeah. And there's so many young people who want to play this game at the top level. We see it on the women's side right now in real time. This is the first season for Super League. And we've seen what it has done for the careers of these young women and these professional athletes. And I'm excited to see, how that continues to build on the men's side. So there's so many opportunities in this wonderful sport that you and I both love, and really excited for the league. So congrats to USL, but even more exciting news on Lexington's side, more specifically, their midfielder Kaylee Utley announced her retirement last week. So we just wanted to give her a shout out. Congratulations on a wonderful career. We are so proud of you, and we are so excited for your next steps in your professional career. Coach Dickey had mentioned to us that you are an optometrist, an eye doctor to those who might not know what that means specifically. So best of luck in your career, and we can't wait to follow it.
That's a crazy statement. Hey, go retire from being a professional. Just go and be a doctor. Go have fun.
You and I both never could do that. My eyes couldn't do it, first of all, to look at other people's eyes. But
right. Awesome. I mean, what exciting news.
I know. Kaylee, so much going on in USL. And then, our friend Jay Brazen made a comment on our show last week after we were talking to Carly Giamana from Tampa Bay about Game of Thrones. He wants me to recap a little bit of it. And honestly, Marion, maybe I should tune into it and give our thoughts on the next show. What do you think?
It was on my intro. Question to Anna: have you watched the opening episode? Because when I tell you that they waste no time. They waste no time. It's going to captivate your attention, Anna. I truly believe that. You just have to give it a chance. So here's what I think we should do. I think that we should start maybe deploying kind of a once a month. We have way more of a fan engagement, fan appreciation kind of show where they can ask these types of questions and you can actually report on it. So you have some homework. And then for any fans listening, just be on the lookout perhaps for social media for me and Anna for questions that you guys can submit later.
Yes, please. Mary and I always love your feedback, and we read everything that you guys write into us about, whether it's about soccer, Game of Thrones, Real Housewives, whatever you want to talk about. Like, we're game on this show. So you can DM me at Anna Witte on Insta, at Anna Witte _ on Twitter. Marion, give them your handles so they know where to find us.
I don't know. We're gonna send them
Marion.
all to you. I think that I don't even think I know mine. That's the bad thing. So that's also at everyone listening, and my commitment to my co-host and to the league as a whole. I'm trying to get better about social media.
It's okay. You guys can DM me the questions. I will bring them to Marion. Like, if you can't tell, this is how our relationship works. Yeah. And I absolutely
Anna is admin. Anna does admin.
No, I'm the admin girl, and Marion's the creative girly in this show. And it works. That's why we're here today. Yeah. But we're also here today to talk a little soccer, aren't we? Because week 20 was really fun. We're going to start with the Carolina beating Lexington match 2-1. It ended the 3-game losing streak for Carolina, getting this 3 points. Lexington started 4 new additions in this starting 11 as well. And Lexington made a really good effort to come back. However, some of their small mistakes, again, are what are plaguing them in the spring season. So you look at this Lexington team, they won the possession battle. But how did these new players really impact this match against Carolina?
Yeah, I like that question. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell the people so that they don't get annoyed. But my word of the weekend is recognition. For this group specifically and for this matchup, it was really about moments. And this goes into your question, Anna. It was really about moments of recognizing when to build out of possession, build out of the back, build through your thirds, versus recognizing moments to bypass those lines, right? Bypass those lines, clear some of those territories. I thought that there were many times where the decision and the recognition wasn't there from Lexington that ultimately caught them in some dangerous moments for a team like Carolina Ascent, who is very well structured defensively. That recognition has to be even more vital into what you do. And then even more so, one of the things that I recognized that was actually very interesting about this Lexington team and the new players is that it's actually posing a different situation for them. I thought that it became really predictable for them, especially in the second half. I did think that despite, having several good spells of possession, as you mentioned, everything at the end of the day was looking to go long. I felt like when you look, and I love, hey, whoever's doing the Lexington camera views, I love it because I kind of have that 30,000 foot view.
Yes, I agree with that.
Exactly. When you look at that, it was very easy to tell. Obviously, we have a different perspective when we're looking at that than they do on the field. Much easier for us to see that all of the runs are being made in the same general direction. Everybody is kind of doing that, hey, trying to beat the back line over the top. I think one thing that's going to be interesting for them is now that they have the speed of a player like Kate Doyle, and Hannah Richardson, I thought was phenomenal on the day for Lexington. There has to be a balance of hold-up play. And I think that in particular, Madison Parsons is going to have to grow in that trust of her teammates. And I don't mean that in any negative way. Think about the burden that was on that girl's shoulders in the fall season. She was really like doing everything. And she was used to that. She was welcoming that. She was, I'll go long, I'll come back, I'll do hold-up, I'll shoot from distance, I'll be in the box. Well, now that she's got some other pieces around her, players like Nicole Vernus, who we actually saw her in the wide channels, and then the speed of the other ones up top, I think she can actually focus now more on the size and the strength that she brings to this Lexington side and really have the balance of, okay, I check deep, someone runs in beneath me. That's going to make it much less predictable for Lexington, which ultimately I thought was the biggest downfall of their performance. I don't think that they challenged the shape and the structure and the decision-making of the back line for Carolina Ascent enough.
To be fair to Lexington, I mean, they made changes on every single line in this match against Carolina. So there is that continuity, that chemistry piece that they're still trying to work out. The Parsons piece makes a ton of sense, right? Because she is that big piece in their attack in the fall, will be in the spring. And with these new pieces coming in, I'm even going to be paying a little bit more closer attention to midfielder Claire Winters and how in the fall she was asked to do a lot in the midfield, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that now having so many players underneath her, like the Vernus rather, and the Moore in there as well, she can be that hold up player at times to allow Parsons, like it could almost interchange at points between those two. Again, it just gives them more versatility. It gives them more depth, and something that Dickey wasn't able to work with much in the fall.
I agree. And I think one thing has to be said, and we've been saying it from the get-go, and they have added all of these things you're saying are true. All of the different wrinkles that they potentially could have in the attack, they're true. They're there. They can work. But I don't care how much attacking prowess or how many attacking options you have. If you do not start cleaning up the mistakes in the back, it will not matter.
Right.
And so they dug themselves a hole early, right, for a mistake in the back. And again, we go back to that word of recognition, recognizing in the back when it's safe to play out and when you just need to clear lines and gain territory. That is really the piece where they have got to shore it up, because we've known from the get-go that they have been able to score with the best of them. They are leading the league in both categories, right? They were tied for most in goals to end the fall season. They were also tied for most in goals, or they were leading the league in goals conceded with 30, right? So you can continue to improve here. But if this doesn't change as well, then we're still going to have that massive seesaw that is ultimately not going to give them the results that some of their performances are indicative.
Deserving. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the consistency is key, and Lexington will take on Fort Lauderdale this upcoming weekend. And that's a front line that you can't mess with. You can't make those silly mistakes that are going to convert to goals, because United is known to be really a consistent up top when they do win the ball higher. Second match of this past weekend was Dallas tying Tampa Bay. Now, there were some really nice individual performances. Dallas's forward, Lexi Missimo, 4th minute, her first professional goal got Dallas on the score sheet. And then Tampa Bay's Parker Goins joined the action during the match. She scored her first Super League goal. Really excited to see those two players come into their own in this game. But then we saw, the center back, Jenna Weinbrenner, in my opinion, has just been so stout for Dallas back there, being that lone center back and that 3-back, really 3 center backs, but she leads the 4. But you had mentioned that the buildup from Dallas could be a lot better. What could have been better this past weekend?
I just think, and I'm just going to be frank, I just thought that they were quite poor on the day from a technical proficiency. The standards that they typically hold themselves to, I feel like Dallas is typically a team that builds well. I think that they like to have a mixture, right, of going a bit more direct versus having some like overloads in the wide channels. But one thing that for sure is they rarely, lose the ball in the midfield as much as they did in this past match. So to be honest, and again, right, some of it is, hey, it's your first game back, right? You got a whole lot of new players trying to gel together. Timing, the understanding, the recognition, again, that word of recognition of how certain players like to receive the ball, that's all going to improve. Like, I'm not worried about it, but at the same time, like for me, I just don't think that Dallas was very good on the day. I thought that they had some good individual performances. I thought Lexi was on full display in terms of her spatial awareness that ultimately led to the goal. And I thought that the goal that they scored in the opening 4 minutes was probably their best build-up sequence of the entire 90 minutes. It was a great moment in transition, great recognition from the ball carrier, better recognition from Lexi in terms of the open space. One thing, though, that I want to mention is this idea that Sam Meza isn't here anymore.
Yeah.
So Dallas is going to struggle. If you didn't watch that game, you probably didn't see that Hannah Davison, their star center back, and she is a stud. Hannah Davison went down with an injury in the first half. And I have to give credit to Amber Brooks for being that girl to be able to step into that center back role. Amber Brooks, again, a player who the midfield is structured around.
Right.
A lot of things that Dallas does in the midfield do not work unless Amber Brooks is in there. She drops back and acts as a center back now, which I thought she was great on the day. But with that being said, we saw Deborah Abby, oh, let me make sure that I say her last name right. Hold on, because I want to give her credit because I thought she was good. Deborah Abiodun. I thought Deborah Abiodun on the day as a substitute, she came in and played in that double pivot after Amber Brooks dropped back to the center back role. And I thought that she actually composed the game quite well. Everyone that is saying, "Oh, well, this is a different team without Sam Meza," you're A, it's way too early to say that. And B, yes, Sam was integral. Sam was a friend of the show. We know how good Sam is. We sang her praises time and time again. She was integral to what they were able to do early, but that does not mean that the midfield players that Dallas has now aren't up to the task. In fact, I actually think that their structure and the different combination that they have around Lexi with Deborah Abiodun and with Amber Brooks and with Gracie Bryan, I think it's going to be night and day difference from
I agree. I think even Missy Mo provides, I mean, Sam Meza was so good on the ball technically, right? Like she could dribble into tight spaces. She can hold onto the ball a lot longer than most players in this league. So the other players around her were being asked to move around a lot more and have to make more unpredictable runs a little bit more consistently, where with that Missy Mo in there, even with Brian at points, like there's going to be more direct balls into the attack. So the runs are going to look different at times. So I completely agree. I think obviously we love Sam on the show. She's been so fun to watch in the Super League. We're really excited for her next journey in Seattle. However, there are so many key pieces in Dallas, like Chris Petroselli, the GM of Dallas, knows exactly what he's doing, the kind of players he needs to be consistent. So this spring schedule will be really important for Dallas, and they've got a big one this upcoming weekend.
Yeah. And I also just, I think too, like, as I'm going back and looking at my notes, one place just to fully answer your question on where they can be better, I think their technical proficiency, that was not a game that we typically see from them. That will improve. That hopefully is a one-off thing. If I had to pinpoint a place where maybe they could get better in those moments, because they recognize well when they have to clear lines, right? They recognize well when it's not safe to build out of the back or there aren't the options there. I thought they lacked at the 9 position with their hold up play, right? That link up play to really be able to settle.
Because they're trying to move a little bit more faster, like the midfielders don't hold on to the ball as long?
Well, I actually think it needs to start from this. Allie Thornton, I thought that she needed to be way more involved in getting in front of her center backs and acting as that hold up play person because to your point, right? Think about all the responsibilities you have as a midfielder. You're on both sides of the ball. Everybody technically is on both sides of the ball. I get that. But when we've got to drop shape and we've got to drop numbers behind the ball and we are being pressed, which Tampa Bay did an excellent job of. Let's give them that credit. Mm-hmm. So when we have to clear lines as a back 4 or even as a midfield 3 or whatever the numbers are, we are looking for that outlet. And that outlet is part of your job as a 9, right? Part of your job as a target player to make yourself available, make yourself be seen, and then you have the responsibility, and it's a hard responsibility to hold that play up for then players like Lexi, Gracie Bryan to come underneath you and connect from there. But I do think that they need some improvement at that 9 position just in terms of the hold up play to build out moving forward. But
totally fair.
Two players we've got to give some unsung heroes. You mentioned Jenna Weinbrenner earlier. I thought for Tampa Bay, Jordan Listro, her name didn't get called at all, I don't think, on the broadcast, and she was phenomenal. I thought that she did an excellent job on Lexi Missimo and really forcing Lexi into some uncomfortable pockets of space. I thought she was a general on the field. And then again, Amber Brooks, what a phenomenal showing from both of those. And then if we go back, if we're giving unsung heroes for everybody, Addie Merrick for Carolina Ascent, the importance of having her back.
We had missed her for a long time in the fall.
Night and day.
Night and day. She was the big piece of that goal for Mia Corbin. So we'll have to chat with Mia a little bit later on the show about that goal. We've got national team call-ups to chat about. We got a lot to get to, Marion, but we're going to stop it right here. We'll be back with more Game Week on Sirius XM.
Bringing you up to date on all the action from a busy weekend of women's soccer. This is USL Super League Game Week on Sirius XM FC.
Welcome back to Game Week on Sirius XM alongside Marion Crowder. I'm Anna Witte. A huge week in USL Super League with a lot of call-ups to national team. 11 girls got call-ups to their international team, the first FIFA international window of 2025. It started on Monday, Marion, and it will end next Wednesday. So we'll miss 11 of these girls in action in the Super Super League this upcoming weekend. A lot of important ones, specifically DC seeing a lot, Lexington, Tampa Bay seeing too. However, Brooklyn's goalkeeper, Sydney Martinez, getting that Puerto Rico call up again just shows the unity of this Brooklyn goalkeeper union and how good they are. But what does this mean to you in particular to see Martinez on this list?
Man, I think it's insane. Like, if you really look at the goalkeeper union that they have up there at Brooklyn, arguably the most competitive in the Super League, especially.
I think you could say that like as a fact, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, like with the addition of Alexa Goldberg, which I feel like was a signing that went under the radar a little bit, but a very, very good SEC goalkeeper who trains very well. And the reason I point that out is because that's what really makes a goalkeeper union so special is they spend so much time together, and their training form and their training standards are ultimately, as a group, what allows that one individual, whoever gets to start on the day, to shine. And one thing about goalkeepers is they always give credit to the union. They feel like they're a bunch of little misfits, sometimes the land of misfit toys. But what it tells me, especially for all of these call-ups, but for this Brooklyn call-up in particular with Sydney Martinez, is that there is very little separating the players like Niku Purcell, who was also in Futures Camp, mind you, for the US, along with Lexi Missimo. Players like Nico Purcell and Sydney Martinez. And I think that will continue to be a battle up there in Brooklyn, and I welcome it because I think that will only make those two better. What I love about the international call-ups is that it gives players a chance to broaden their horizons, change their perspective, and then implement what they've learned into a smaller subsect of people. And, shout out to DC Power. It's a little bit of a bittersweet. They have so many international call-ups, the most of any Super League team. But they're also going to miss those girls in their debut in the spring because they are some key pieces.
Specifically, Jennifer Cujo in DC is one that we haven't given a ton of love on the show because there's been so much to chat about with that team in particular. Yeah. But she's been one who I think is going to be a really big piece just because of her leadership, her experience, her confidence, where she's been, but also, having this experience again, bringing it back to DC. So they'll definitely be missed against a team like Carolina in particular. But this is really good for these individuals, for this league, and a really exciting first international window for 2025. 4 matches this weekend. Everybody is playing this weekend. We haven't seen Spokane, Brooklyn, or DC. We're going to see them for the first time this spring, this upcoming weekend. Dallas will host Spokane on Saturday at 5 Eastern time. Tampa Bay will host Brooklyn Saturday at 7 Eastern time. And then Fort Lauderdale will wrap up the day hosting Lexington at 7:30 on Saturday. And then Sunday, the lone match, Carolina hosting DC for a matinee at 3 p.m. Eastern time. All of these matches you can tune in on Peacock. The big one is that top 4 matchup, right? Tampa Bay hosting Brooklyn. Tampa Bay's played twice now. For Tampa Bay, they've tied these 2 games. They've seen goals. There's been some consistency, but there hasn't been 3 points. So what could 3 points against Brooklyn mean for this team now with 3 games under the belt after this upcoming weekend?
Great question. I think it solidifies confidence. Right now, if you're Tampa Bay, you've tried some new things. You've implemented some new identity changes, particularly on the way that they present themselves defensively. And it's been working, and you've looked really good. And even some of that defensive work rate has posed itself to be positive in the attacking third. But you haven't gotten the 3 points. As mentioned, you keep building and you keep building. And I'm not going to go as far to say that it's 3 points or bust for them, but I am going to say that if they were to take down the top team in the league with the form that they've presented in the past 2 matches, their confidence and some of the small changes they've made is going to skyrocket. And from a morale perspective in the locker room, that's all you need sometimes to say, it is working. This was all we needed. It wasn't a massive change, right? All we needed was a few small tweaks, and look what we've been able to do in these opening 3 matches. Not to say that you're not going to get to go through some struggles, right? You're not going to go through some moments where your form isn't where it should be, but it solidifies confidence early on for you to continue making and investing in those small tweaks that they obviously have done in the offseason.
It's almost night and day in so many ways for Tampa Tampa Bay because of that consistency piece and all these new pieces coming in. It seems like they're a little bit more complete with the experience that they have. I think the formation change has really helped Tampa Bay as well. It's gone in their way a little bit more. For me, I'm excited for that Carolina hosting DC game, partially because I'll be on the sideline for that one. So I'm excited to be a part of the action again this spring. But I think DC's added some new pieces. I mean, getting a player like Gianna Gurley into that mix in the attack, when you lose a player like Jordan Balcom, you got to replace her somehow. And Gurley having that experience in Fort Lauderdale will help out DC, especially now that they're losing 5 international players this upcoming weekend. And then our girl, Emily Colton, in that midfield for DC. Yeah. This is the first time we'll see her in a DC power kit, seeing what she can do with all of these new pieces around her, specifically Katie Duong. That partnership could be really phenomenal for DC, especially against this Carolina midfield who consistently looks really organized. So a really fun matinee on Sunday for sure. Well, that is it for us here on Super League, but we still have our interview. We had Carolina's Mia Corbin on the show. We had a really fun conversation. We talked a lot about her soccer career, her softball career. We dove a lot into book club, reading, all the things happening in pop culture, what you typically talk about on a soccer show, right?
Yeah. Right, of course. So who doesn't talk about The Bachelor and Summer House?
I mean, those are like the most important things to chat about with a player.
That's not a soccer show if you're not talking about them.
Not at all. Not at all. No, she was a good sport. She's in tune with it all. She impressed me with her knowledge of pop culture. So
me too.
Don't go anywhere. It's Mia Corbin after the break. This is Game Week on Sirius XM.
Bringing you up to date on all the action from a busy weekend of women's soccer. This is USL Super League Game Week on Sirius XM FC.
Welcome back to Game Week on Sirius XM. We are now joined by Carolina forward Mia Corbin. Mia, thanks for joining the show. We're thrilled to have you here. Congratulations on that win over Lexington this past weekend, because that was huge for your team. I mean, you guys were coming off a fall situation where you had 1 goal in 4 matches. You now have 2 goals in this match over Lexington. What were you guys really focused on in the offensive side of the piece to start being more consistent when it came to goal scoring in the spring?
Yeah, honestly, I would just say that we really harped on when we were coming back. We had a month of preseason training, you would say, and we really just wanted to be on the front end. We were tired of just sitting back. We want to be more aggressive with the press in the front line, and that leads to a lot of good countermeasures. Luckily, we were able to, even with the first goal, we kind of got lucky. But again, we were trying to press hard, and, so a goal's a goal, we'll take it. And then to get that second goal early on, honestly, that was nice for us. We still have a lot more opportunities we could have finished that we're going to be better on. But I think for us, like you said, we were really happy to just, get that 2 goals under our belts and just start to get a little bit more together in the front line and have that connection just be a little bit more, because we know we have to score goals this season. So I think we're all just really trying to focus in and get that going. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you could see that the gears really turned in some of those transitional moments, obviously, that led to your goal in particular. But one thing that we have always said on the show and in the coaches' calls we've had with Philip, just what we know of you guys as an organization, is that it feels very much like, obviously, we want to win now. We're trophy hunting now. But it also feels like there is a much deeper rooted cause to this organization, both in terms of the players that are signed to you guys, but also just the general structure and the culture that feels like it's building. I just want to hear from your perspective inside the locker room, what it's been like to be a part of this Philip Poole culture early on.
Yeah, we all have a mission. When we came in on the first day, we have different goals that we created as a team. So in the locker room, it's not you're competing for minutes on the field, but at the same time, you're still needing to be a good teammate and support one another. And honestly, I feel like that has really helped us in the long run right now, especially with the first game back. We were here for a month before. We were here before a lot of other teams, because we really want to win and we really want to be the first team to win the USL Super League. So, we knew that we would have to change something, do a little bit more team bonding, get those connections, just building a little bit more. And we're watching Bachelor Mondays together. We have the club, So I don't know, just those tiny differences that may be like kind of stupid. It's working for us. So we're just going to keep going with it, honestly.
You and Tampa Bay with that Bachelor show. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
That is such a bonding show. I will dig into the book club and all of that after this question, Mia, because you played softball through high school, which is really unique, being such a competitive soccer player that you are. Shortstop is what I read. However, how did you pick soccer over softball?
Unfortunately, I would say in women's sports, like softball wasn't going to be able to be like a long-term thing, couldn't really play this professionally. Yeah. I love softball. I think it helped me grow in so many ways. Don't know how you found that one out. Like I haven't talked about it in a while, so that's good. But yeah, no, I loved it. But overall, like soccer, like it just, there's something about it and like that team sport and like being able to work together and you're fighting for something and like you can like soccer can change at any moment and like a goal happens or a penalty happens and like the whole atmosphere changes and like I just knew I'd miss that. So I think that's kind of why I chose soccer in the end too.
I feel like you're either in that camp of like you should only play soccer, you should only play this one sport, or like, hey, go do everything, figure it out. Obviously you are a multi-sport athlete. What did you learn about yourself being a multi-sport athlete?
Honestly, I feel like it taught me to be diligent. It taught me like, because of kind of what I said, like when we were doing for Black History Month, you know, the tattoo admirer of number 3, like when I saw and like someone who looked like me playing sports, I was like, oh, I want that. And then I knew that like no one was really going to stop me to play both.
Yeah.
Luckily I had very supportive coaches too. And it helped that I was pretty good. So they didn't want me to stop playing either, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. And then I was doing homework in the car. Like it just taught me that I just had to, the grind was on, taught me how to multitask. You know, I had great parents who were driving me from soccer to softball at the same time.
Bless them.
Yeah, no, very thankful for them. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, during this,
if anyone wants to, I would do it.
Yeah, I mean, can't do everything in life, right? But I think I remember during the Super Bowl, they were talking about Patrick Mahomes and how baseball really helped him become the quarterback he is because he can keep his head really still and throw these precision passes in pockets that other quarterbacks couldn't do because they didn't play baseball or other sports. Where do you feel softball really helped your soccer career?
Honestly, just change of direction. Like I played outfield too. I loved hunting balls down in the outfield. So I just feel like kind of like anticipating the game, anticipating where a ball might drop. I think with soccer, like anticipating what pass is going to be made here, what's going to be made there. That really helped me, I think, for sure. And then hand-eye coordination. Not that I'm a goalkeeper or anything, but I don't know. I'm going to put that one in there. I feel like that helped.
One day.
Okay. I feel like we have to dive into it. Now, on this show, Anna's not only admin, but Anna's also our reality TV girly.
Queen. Yes.
I know that you guys are watching The Bachelor right now. I would be lying if I said that I have tuned in. You know what, Anna? So here's the other thing, Mia. Anna has never watched Game of Thrones. I don't know if you... Yeah, see, thank you. The proper response. The proper response. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make Anna a deal. I'm going to say, hey, I will tune into, you know, your reality TV show of choice. I'll do that if you watch Game of Thrones.
100%.
But, Anna, I feel like you should lead the discussion of early Bachelor favorites.
Yes, Mia. You guys are watching this. I think right now it's a Bachelor. So there's a bunch of women fighting for this man's heart. Who is leading the charge in your eyes?
So honestly, we did not watch last night's episode because the commercials, they kill us because they leave us hanging in like the 2 hours. So we are actually watching it today.
Okay.
But right now where it left off for us, we're not, I think Carolina, like she's not going to be a favorite of ours. It just seems like there's a lot of drama like going that way. And honestly, we don't like drama. We like it to like talk about it, but like being us in that situation, we're like, no, could not do it. So
yeah.
No, it's still early days.
Did you watch Matt James' season? Have you been following him and Rachel, I think her name is McConnell drama right now?
Kirkconnell. I know that one.
Yeah. Marion, you lead the charge. Like, I guess he broke up with her and shipped her back from Japan. Do you know all about this, Mia?
Whoa, I had no idea. Honestly, I'm going to have to go talk about that when we're out in the field during warm-ups.
Go spill the tea and see what happens because basically, are you familiar with Call Her Daddy as well? The podcast Call Her Daddy?
My team is.
Okay.
Half my team is.
I'm not. See, I'm not either. Like
that, with the podcast as well. Like same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. You and I are speaking the same language. So the tea is, and I'm sure one of your teammates will know about it. The tea is basically 100%. That they were in Tokyo together. They break up. She's on the flight back. He's in Tokyo. On the flight back, he posts on social media that they're broken up with, but all of it, like she's literally taking off and her phone just starts like blowing up about like what's happened. So she then goes on, and I haven't listened to it. I probably won't. I'm not even going to lie, but maybe one of your teammates could debrief us on what she said on the Call Her Daddy podcast. Cause she goes and tells her side. Which, let's be honest, I'm married. I love Hunter's my husband's name. We just celebrated 6 years together. He is phenomenal. He's wonderful. But no. I'm coming for someone's life if that happens.
Connecting that to book club, we read our first book back. We read Funny People by Emily Henry, I believe. Great book. The first chapter was him coming home with a girl. Like, we're supposed to get married. He comes home with a girl. He's like, we're going to break up. I can't do this anymore. And then he leaves on their supposed honeymoon. And then she has a week to like pack all of her stuff up and figure out life. The house would have been burned down. I don't know what. He left that house.
And we'd be in jail right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Happened. There's no way I would have left everything like peachy clean. His clothes would have been tossed out. Something. I don't know.
This would be game week from the precinct. Like, here's your free phone call. It's your Sirius XM show.
In our orange jumpsuits, breaking down the tea. Mia, okay, you bring up a good point because I know this book club is really important to you and your club. I think Taylor Porter's in it, Riley Bazin, you're in it. Who am I missing?
So Sarah Tricoli's in it. We have some other stragglers, I would say. They take a little bit longer, but we accept all. We have Giovanna in it. We have Ashlyn in it as well. So all is welcome. Cannon's in it. But we're just a little bit faster with the reading. So, yeah.
What are we reading?
So now we're reading, Riley and I have picked a new book, and then Taylor just finished Red Rising because we're kind of all over the place. But Red Rising and The Prairie of the Orange Tree. Summer, our athletic trainer, she recommended it. Fantasy, because we're fantasy girlies.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're going to start that. We're still in the dragon theme from Fourth Wing, so.
Okay.
Which even goes to show, Anna, that you need to watch Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. Yeah. So I'll watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Mia, Marion, Summer House. It just started. I think we're on season 10 at this point. There's a lot of backstory, but if you start now, I know Marion knows Paige DeSorbo. Giggler. She's a fellow giggler. Or she is the giggler. She leads the squad. But Mia and Marion, you guys watch Summer House.
Okay.
I'll watch Game of Thrones and we'll reconvene.
Sounds perfect.
Okay.
Sorry, Mia, if you were expecting to talk about soccer.
This is not the show.
No, that's okay.
Mia, this is great. We love having you on. So fun to learn a little bit about you. Your softball journey, your reading journey, your hopefully podcasting journey, all the things. Best of luck this weekend against DC, and we'll chat soon.
Really enjoyed watching you play.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us this week on Game Week. You can tune in every single Wednesday on the SiriusXM app, or you can tune in on USL's YouTube page. Make sure to write into us. You can DM us on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever. We want to hear your feedback and want to learn more about what you want to hear on the show. Until then, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the matches, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
You've been listening to USL Super League Game Week on SiriusXM FC.